Hello and welcome to the Networking Partner Spotlight. I'm your host, Jimmy Curtin. I am CEO and founder of Next Level Sales Performance. We help companies accelerate their sales revenue and move to the next level. So welcome to our Networking Partner Spotlight. Today we're going to talk with a friend of mine his name is Kirk Coyne, and he owns a company called RMS Advisory Group. With that, I'll turn it over to Kirk to introduce himself, and we'll go from there. Kirk?
Thank you, Jimmy, and thank you for having me as a guest on your network network partner spotlight. I am Kirk Coyne, as Jimmy mentioned. I am the founder and CEO of RMS Advisory Group. Our firm provides outsourced CFO and business advisory services to small and medium-sized businesses. We have two main areas of focus. One is helping companies grow, and two, preparing businesses for a future exit. Prior to my consulting business, I spent many years in the corporate world in a variety of both financial and operational roles before buying and owning a small business for about 12 years, which I sold about 3 years ago. And that experience really led me to my passion and desire to want to continue to work with entrepreneurs and business owners and help them to achieve their goals.
That's great, Kirk. Sounds like you've got a great background. So let me ask you a question. In business, how do you define integrity?
Yeah, that's a great question. And in thinking about that, I would define it in business probably about the same way I would define it in life in general. And that is being a trustworthy person. And what does that mean to me? It means honoring your commitments, doing what you say, and being authentic. Those are all a little bit cliche, I know, but I think it's really about just being a sincere person that does and follows walks the talk, so to speak.
Absolutely. That's great. So tell me what the value proposition is of what your company sells.
Sure. So as I mentioned at the beginning, one of the focus areas is helping companies grow. That's one thing. But I think what I'm really trying to do is helping them grow profitably, not just grow for the sake of growth, and maybe more importantly, helping them increase their value in order for them to have more future options and freedom with their business. So many small businesses are trapped or feel trapped by their business sometimes, and really freedom is maybe the greatest reward that they can achieve if they have the opportunity to do that. And a lot of times they are so caught up in the day-to-day running of their business, they aren't able to take a step back and really look at their business from an outsider's point of view and work on their business as opposed to in their business. So if I can help them have the freedom to do something, one, to make them more independent from their business, or two, to have the financial freedom to be able to sell their business if they wanted to, or pass it along to another generation, then I think that adds real value to a small business owner.
Those are great points and so true. So what would you consider the sweet spot for your business?
Sure, and I think about that from a couple of different standpoints. One is sort of the hard and fast factual framework of a business. So I'm dealing with privately owned businesses, mostly owner-operated businesses, and as I mentioned at the beginning, in the small to mid-sized business segment. What I call that, the range in sales is how I think about it, is anywhere from on the low end $1 million to $75 million or more. But I would say the sweet spot is more in that $3 to $30 million range. The reason for that being, these are typically companies that don't have or need a full-time CFO type person in their organization or a senior financial person, but they need some financial and business guidance to help them navigate to the next level of business. And so I find that the 3 to 30 million range is kind of fits for that. The second part of it is really the owner's profile, and And the type of owners that I like to work with and that are good fits are those that really have a desire to work on their business, as I was mentioning before, not just in it, but on it, and really want to work on developing and building value in their business for the future. So taking more of a strategic, proactive approach to their business, as opposed to purely a tactical, reactive approach, which left to their own devices often is the area that gets 99% of their attention. And maybe the third part of that profile is really owners that realize they don't know what they don't know. So, if it's an owner that either maybe does know everything because of their experiences or thinks they do, they're going to be a little bit hard to help to help get to that next level. So hopefully that gives a little bit of clarification.
Absolutely. That's great information. So let me ask you, what is one of your favorite business tools that you use to prospect? I know we all have to prospect for business. So what's one of your favorite tools?
Yeah, I don't know if I would call it favorite or most effective. Maybe the two go hand in hand, but really for me, it's good old-fashioned networking, and the reason for that is it's a relationship business, really, that I'm in, and if I can build relationships with other professionals that are serving the same market, that lower middle market, then we're often fishing in the same pond. And the more that I can help those partners, business partners, understand what I do and I can understand what they do, the more that we can help each other and help ultimately business owners, because the same needs that they might have from me, they could very likely have from you or from others that represent other business disciplines. So, and then networking can be both one-on-one type networking or group networking. Both of those, I think, come into play. And I try to complement it with some digital marketing approaches, lead magnets, posting on LinkedIn, providing educational content, some of those things, which maybe we'll get into in a little bit. But it's really a combination of the two. But by far, I would say networking is still the primary approach that I use to find new clients.
Good. Same here. So I know one of the things that's really important for any business is staying top of the mind with their clients and their prospects. So do you have a favorite method or methods that you use to do that?
A lot of that is the digital approach that I was referring to before, and some of that is just email newsletters or drip campaigns that are directed toward both referral partners as well as prospects, just to kind of remind them that that I'm out there. That's what I do. You never know if you get the message in front of the right person at the right time, but at least you know that you're waving the flag a little bit. LinkedIn is another one that's, I think it's becoming even bigger than it already was, which was big, but it seems like more and more the audience on LinkedIn, it's always been a business oriented audience, but a lot of times I think business owners weren't as present there. I think they're getting more present. So I think posting on LinkedIn, educational content, commentary, it gets your name out, and it can be a value added service if you're providing some information, articles, newsletters, whatever it is, that could be a message of some importance. And then thirdly, again, piggybacking on the networking that I mentioned earlier, always trying to deepen the relationship with the key networking partners, whether it's follow-up meetings, telephone calls, being in networking groups where you see the same folks on a regular basis. It's a good way to stay in front of one another, and no matter how many times we get told by our other networking partners what we do exactly, sometimes a light goes on because of something that's said in a different way, or maybe, they're having an experience with a client or a prospect that finally it dawns on them, hey, maybe this person could be a benefit.
Right. So very true. So very true. So just a couple more questions. So how do you know when it's time to actually close a sale?
Yeah, well, and this is more your expertise probably than mine. It's kind of learning by doing, but what I've kind of found in my experience to date is when that prospect starts parroting back in some shape or form the value proposition of what you do and how it fits for them, you kind of know it's time to stop talking so much and just go ahead and get to the closing process. Or if they're using terms like, and I even try to do this myself when we start talking about we could work together in doing this, or if we could get you to make progress on diversifying your customer base, then your business is going to have a lot more value, that sort of thing. But it's really listening for signs where they seem to already be convinced that they've made up their mind, and maybe it's just a matter of the modalities and the logistics of putting it in motion, and of which price and timing and that sort of thing are an important part of that. And but I think in an effective close, and you can correct me if you see it differently, at that point, price is usually not even the main driver of the process. It's
Yeah.
kind of already, the mind is made up.
That's right. You've already built that relationship, and it's just closing's a natural part of that relationship.
Right, and they're really spending time trying to justify in their own mind how to make that price. It's like seeing that car that you've always wanted in the parking lot, and it's it's that $100,000 car you never thought you'd buy, and it's stupid intellectually, but emotionally you want it so bad you start convincing yourself that yeah, it really does. It's going to create more business for me because it looks cool in the parking lot, or whatever it might be.
Right. Yeah, that's great. So last question. So what is your best advice for businesses when it comes to closing more business?
Yeah, so we're all familiar with the sales funnel and all of that, and there's different parts of that. And I think from personal experience, I'm still at the point in my practice where I want to work on all parts of that. So the first part is just increasing the number of qualified leads through all those different processes that we talked about previously. But once I'm in a discussion with a prospect, it's really making sure that I am focusing on drawing out from that prospect their needs, their pain points, and then connecting the dots between those pain points and my solution. It's easy for many of us to, talk features first and benefits second. Well, that's not the way it works in a prospect's eyes. So it's very important to listen and understand what it is that they really need. And to be honest, if my solution is not really what is the best fit for what their need or pain point is, then you need to say so, or back away and try to find somebody that can help them. And I don't hesitate for a minute to do that, whether it's even a so-called competitor, or more often than not, it's not that so much as they don't really need, financial and business guidance right now. They need a sales consultant. Okay,
Right.
you need to talk to Jimmy first and foremost. Once Jimmy gets your sales ramped up, then he can afford to bring me, and we can start working on your processes, your long-term plan, get you ready to sell in 5 years, that sort of thing. So there's a time and a place for each of their needs. So it's taking a holistic enough approach and view that you recognize that there are things that may come before for my need. And in the end, you got to meet the customer where they are, not where I want them to be. So it's really understanding where they are, and where they are both in their decision making process relative to my services, but where they are holistically in their business, and what their greatest needs are. It's step one, from the time they meet me to going forward. That's kind of the way I looked at it.
Yeah, that's great advice and great information. Listen, it has been a great interview, and I appreciate the information. I'm sure that folks who will be seeing this will also appreciate it. And I want to thank you for spending some time with me.
Well, thank you very much for having me as a guest, and I look forward to seeing you around.
Okay, thanks, Kirk.